terms of beta-amyloid reduction technologies, this is the first commercially available, or commercially approved at this point, product in the planet of that nature. And when I started talking about this, admittedly, a lot of the other companies in the US that I was working with and that knew about our project thought I was a little crazy, right? Because they said, Philippines isn't known for new medical innovations. It's not in its category. And I said, you're absolutely right. It's not known for new medical innovation breakthroughs and releases yet. See, every country has a starting point. The unique thing about this product is that it is actually it's more like an operation. It's a one-day operation. So you have this molecule, but you don't take it as a pill. In fact, the active ingredient in this thing that actually causes the binding of the beta-amyloids and the extraction doesn't even enter your body. And so the impact of this...
That's why there is no side effect.
Yes, is that there's no side effects because nothing is going in. I will give props to the Philippine FDA because Philippine FDA has actually, they did a lot of work to make sure that there was a good compliance measure. That the studies were, even if we had studies that were already published in other journals, we replicated a lot of it over here as part of their comfort level and to make sure that it's a good product.
We would normally go through, sometimes 10 years from discovery to commercialization. And sometimes it would take tens, hundreds, $1 billion, okay, just to see a product from here to there. So if you will look at that process seems to be skewed for big pharma. Because only big pharma can afford to wait 10 years and keep on spending in the meantime, right? But if you are a small company with one molecule like us, you're dead.
It actually made sense to do it in the Philippines as well because we're not just proposing a new molecule, we proposed one of the safest new molecule entries. So it's a low-risk gamble for the country. This is a treatment. So basically, we're setting up a clinic. And so we set up the clinic, and there will be announcing it in terms of its open date. So a clinic like this, to be clear, we anticipate it to be one of the biggest drives for medical tourism. So when you talk about medical tourism as a drive, our forecast alone will probably double the medical tourism numbers by itself. Right? So just because of the size of the market and the interest that we've already gauged in terms of travel here. Our target population of interest is a 40 million patient base. We also have a diabetic market which we'll be announcing our research against, which is type 2 diabetes, around 412 million worldwide. It's around 450 million people that we're talking about. So what are beta-amyloids? Beta-amyloids is actually a malformed protein that our body produces, but it just so happens that when that protein is cut in a certain place, usually our body reprocesses this junk garbage, right? And we reuse the amino acids, like we break down food. But when it seems to cut it in this particular spot, it doesn't go away. The science actually evolved in the last 2 decades. The last decade really. And the science was discovered that these beta-amyloids that are in our bodies, it wasn't actually the plaques in our brain that were causing the most damage. Eventually they build up and they start to come together. When they start coming together, now they have this oligomeric form. Now they're toxic. They do other things. They block things. They cause cellular damage. So all of a sudden, the focus started coming from the brain plaques to the bloodstream. Now here's what's interesting. The amount of time between those oligomers in your bloodstream coming together to the point where you actually see symptoms of Alzheimer's, they believe that it's anywhere between 10 to 20 years even before the first symptoms appear. What did we do that was unique? Well, Dr. Stanley Stein and his molecule and the research around that, it had a very basic premise. It was a targeted binding reagent. So to give you an idea, I just told you that these beta-amyloids will come together, right? So to make it very simple, he identified the parts that attract them to each other. We developed a molecule to replicate its attraction, did some fancy science, and we created a binding agent that attracted itself. It is a super magnet for beta-amyloid. The embodiment of this, we didn't have to develop a brand new drug. we used an existing technology, a dialysis machine. So when I run the process of the dialysis through a new patient, right, and you use this molecule doesn't even actually get into the body. It actually sits outside what we call the dialyzing tube. So the blood goes through, and in this little chamber, it's like a little straw with little holes in it. The molecule's too big to go in, and the blood's too big to go out, but the beta-amyloids pass through. So we simply catch it. Catch. So now you have one of the fastest binding reagents, or you can call it the fastest detoxification for beta-amyloids possible. Our average in the one that I can report right now is around 89.2% the first hour. So it takes them a year to take a day. The added level here is that it is medical tourism. So we are going to be building out a clinic. We target by 2020 we'll have our first operational availability in the Philippines. We are going to be setting up some smaller pilot clinics just to get the ball rolling for some patients, but the large formal one will probably be 2020. It takes time to build out for a project like this. So to be clear here, we're not actually considered a drug.
Yeah.
We are actually a medical device.
Medical device.
Because we're utilizing
Correct.
a dialysis, and the drug or the active agent doesn't actually go into the body.